Hi, everyone, and welcome to Astrology with Jeffrey Bryan. Today's video is going to be on the full moon occurring on June 14th. It's a strawberry full moon. It just has to do with the color of the moon based on how the sun is hitting it. And so I just want to apologize for it being a couple of months since my last video. I've been busy moving and having to get things in order, as well as doing astrology readings. But now I have more free time, and I will be putting more and more videos up as time moves on. I've got about 3 or 4 videos I've got ready to roll for the next few moon cycles. And then the end of July, we've got a transit of Mars and Uranus. And then later in the year, there's going to be another big retrograde of Jupiter coming back into Neptune that we need to talk about. So look for those videos in the coming future. So without further ado, let's move into this full moon. So once again, the strawberry full moon on June 14th. This full moon will occur exactly at 5:52 a.m. Mountain Time in Boise, Idaho. So wherever you live, just look at the Greenwich Mean Time and figure out exactly what time it'll be. The moon cycles move very fast, so usually this will only have an effect on you for like a day or day and a half or so, maybe even just several hours, depending on how the moon is affecting you in your personal chart. As you can see here, we have the moon in Sagittarius in 23 degrees in the third or spiritual decanate of Sagittarius, which opposes the sun in 23 degrees 25 minutes Gemini. So this is an exact opposition. So whenever we have a full moon, we have an exact opposition of the moon and the sun. And the sun is in the third or spiritual decanate of Gemini in the keyword of reason. And this is in the keyword of illumination. So people often ask me, how do you get a keyword? So I use these very like ancient, some call it esoteric keywords that go with the sub-rulership of a planet or with a sign, I mean. So for Sagittarius, we have the ruler of Sagittarius would be Jupiter for the first 10 degrees. And then there's a word that symbolizes what Jupiter means at home in its sign of Sagittarius. Then we move to the next fire sign of Aries. So the next fire sign would be the second decanate, which would be represented by the planet Mars. And so that keyword would express what the energy of Mars would be like in Sagittarius. And then the third decanate, which we're talking about right now, would be that of Leo Sun. So the keyword is illumination. So what does the sun do? It illuminates. So we have to take what that means in reference to Sagittarius with the rulership of the fire sign, of the fixed fire sign Leo Sun, in the interpretation of now the moon being there. So we have this lunar planet in this solar decanate, or this yin energy in this more masculine decanate. So then we have the opposition of the masculine planet, the sun. So we're saying this is the third decanate of Gemini. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So that would be the first decanate, Gemini Mercury. The second decanate would be Libra Venus, and the keyword for that, which is fidelity. And then we would have the third decanate for Gemini, which would be ruled by Aquarius, Uranus. So Uranus is the higher mind, the higher thinking mind. It's enlightened thinking. And so the key word for that is reason. It's wanting us to go beyond our normal practical thinking and go into this more enlightened thinking. So here we have the sun sitting in Gemini in this enlightened thinking position, and the moon over here in Sagittarius, which is in illumination. So we've got this yin and yang energy trying to figure out how they want to express themselves in the world. So the moon is at odds with the sun. And so it's trying to internalize the exterior experience of what's going on and express it in a way of understanding. So it's not really getting along. It's kind of polarized at this moment of whatever external experience that it's receiving in. And it's wanting to, in this keyword of illumination, it's more of an inner illumination you're receiving inwards to give back out. So what information or data is this moon taking into our feelings and emotions? So you can ask yourself, what is going on in my life? Is it positive, negative? Am I not thinking properly? Do I need to rationalize or think things more through? And how do I feel about this? You may be not getting the communication right. And what makes this a difficult full moon is we have Neptune squaring the sun and the moon. So as you can see here, we have a T-square. So Neptune has been in its greatest strength for a long time now, and it's also in the third or spiritual decanate of Pisces in the keyword vicissitudes, which is a very mystical spiritual placement. And so we've got this highly attuned spiritual energy coming down into the earth realm. It's this high vibrational frequency. And if we're not in complete attunement with this energy, we may feel weird or not seeing clearly. Neptune also represents the news, and it's squaring our thoughts and emotions, and also our thoughts and our emotions, our thinking and our feeling, and it's squaring this. So we're going to be confused on what the truth really is. Most people aren't in that high spiritual attunement to really understand what is happening around them or what's happening in the world even. So, or even with what's going on TV or news programs, you're going to feel like you're not getting the truth. Now, put this outside of that in your regular life while you're at work or with your children, husband, wife, or whatever scenario you're in. You'll be thinking and feeling two opposing ways, and you're not going to be able to come to terms with what the real truth is of what you're experiencing. You're going to be confused or disillusioned. And Neptune also has a lot to do with faith. So where are you putting your faith? Are you putting it into another person, or your husband or your wife or your employer or your pastor of your church or anybody? Or are you putting your faith into the news you are receiving? Because this is a time where you will be disillusioned. And my advice here is to tread lightly and be patient and not dive full into what you want to believe at this time, because this is not a time to trust your instincts with this Neptune energy. So distrust is kind of like what I would call the main theme of this full moon coming up. We do have some positives with the moon in a sextile to Saturn, and Saturn is also in a trine to the moon, or to the sun. So we've got harmonious aspects, but the sun is in the keyword of repression, and he's retrograde. So he's coming back. some people say that he would be retrograde to, catch up on something that he's missed, or he's intensifying a situation for a certain lesson. I know a lot of people don't like to hear about lessons, but Saturn is our hardest challenge on the earth plane, and he is repression and fear and anxiety. That's what he represents. And he's in the keyword of repression and Aquarius, which is the most social sign. So there's this great repression that may be going on at this time with this Saturn retrograde. I don't know what's going to happen, but Saturn also represents the government. But it looks like at this moment, it'll be accepted for a time for this. This is only the sun will be moving within a few days out of like within a week out of aspect, and the moon will be out of aspect within a day or two. So I wouldn't put too much investment on this Saturn aspect to the sun and moon, except that there may be some kind of a thing that we feel that there's a maybe justification in what the government is doing, or some kind of boundary that we're having to put in place to protect ourselves, either emotionally or for health reasons or whatever. So there's going to be some kind of a boundary that you'll be in accordance with or in agreement with at this time. And then we have Pluto on this day in a sextile to Neptune. So we've got two transcendent planets, Pluto and Neptune, both in harmony. So there's going to be some confusing, I always think that Neptune brings confusion and disillusionment to almost any situation. So we've got a lower energy of Pluto and a high frequency of Neptune. And Pluto's in the keyword of idealism in Capricorn. He's working below the surface level of our understanding of what's going on. And Neptune is bringing about truth. So I expect some positive things that have been lurking below the surface to come to light during that transit. And it's already going on, because Pluto's at 28 degrees and Neptune's at 25 degrees. So this is already happening. People are becoming awake and aware to lots of things that have been hidden from us for our entire lifetimes and prior lifetimes. And then Pluto also forms a trine to Mercury. It's just going out of aspect at this time for me, because I don't like to go into other signs. But, what are we thinking about during this time? Probably it may be on deeper concerns or deeper mysteries as to what's going on in the people's lives around us or in the world. You may find yourself being drawn to more esoteric literature or truths that really formulate the mind in a different way. You may also be going through a great kind of a transformative process in your mind, trying to wrap your head around all that is going on in your life and in the world. So that's about it for this this full moon. I hope you enjoyed the video. And again, if you want to just read what I have to say that's straight to the point, you can go to my website, astrologywithjeffreybryan.com, and check out my blog. Thanks, everyone, and bye-bye.